So I did this once before where I answer your questions, and I kind of was disappointed in myself because I only chose like the easy questions to answer. And you got to understand when you do a podcast like this one, you get asked you get some nasty comments. I don't generally tend to read the comments. Um, and this has got me in a little bit of trouble because people have legitimately reached out to me and can't understand why I don't get back to them. It's because I got so entrenched in the comments and so disheartened that it was easier for me to just pretend that I don't get any comments. So when I find a legitimate comment, I do answer it. But sometimes there's questions that they kind of repeat themselves. And I'm going to do that today. And I'm not going to do the softball easy questions. I'm going to do some of the harder questions because I've got legitimate answers for them. So, yeah, we're going to see how this goes. I don't know if this is going to be today's actual podcast because I do have a subject in my mind that I do want to talk about. But I thought it was really about time I started answering some of these questions. So, before I dive in and see what happens, love for you to subscribe, check out our other videos, like them, let people know about them. I'd appreciate it. As I said, let's dive in and see what happens. Welcome to Mark My Words. Mark My Words is the story of my journey from a place where I was shattered to where I could live again. Okay, well, as I said at the top of the show, we get lots of interesting comments. Some are fantastic, others are horrible. And I've done this before. You can check other podcasts where I've answered your questions, but I'm going to do it again. But I'm going to start with the hard questions first because there's people that reach out to me that really don't like that I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't understand why, but mine is not to reason why, yeah? Okay, so let's start with a question from a guy called @Dreamy7. And he basically just said, well, he did just say, why can't you just get over it? And I mean, let's think about that for a moment. Why can't I just get over my mental illness? Here's the legitimate and I guess the best answer that I can come up with is that I have got an injury. I don't have an illness. I don't have an opinion. I don't have a feeling. I have an injury. Why can't I just get over it? Well, just like any other injury, you can't just get over it. And especially one that is as all consuming as mental illness, getting over it is just not an option. And in many ways, it's an ignorant question. But I don't want to call you an ignorant person because that's not what this podcast is about. And my natural inclination is to get angry and to just, tell you where to stick your question. But the reason that I keep talking about this stuff is also partially the fact that people like you still ask this question. As soon as people start saying, oh, we've heard it all before, we support you, we feel, I'm going to get worried because then I won't be talking about stuff that affects people the way that mental illness does. So that's why I can't just get over it. I wish I could. I wish I could pray it away. I wish I could medication it away. I wish I could just, pretend it doesn't happen. But then my life would be a million times worse because whenever I've tried to just get over it, my life has gone really, really badly. Titled another one from them. Now, I don't know how to say this. I'm sure this person does. It's 7mint @7mint. Basically just told me to get a life. And the way that I would answer that is this is what I'm trying to do. And I don't do this podcast 24 hours a day. It takes me a couple of hours, one day a week. And if I can spend a couple of hours, one day a week trying to help people, why wouldn't I do it? So if this is part of my life, I'm okay with that. My only hope is that you would understand that, sure, this podcast might not be aimed at you, may not be relevant to you, but it might be relevant to somebody that you know, or somebody that you love, or your neighbor, or your friends, or someone in the world. If you can help one person, why wouldn't you try? That's the way I think about it. All right, we got an email from, wasn't an email, it was a message from Dan from Surfers Paradise. Why do you talk so much about mental illness? Well, it's encapsulated with all the other answers that I've already said. I do it to try and help. Um, I mean, let's be honest, and I've got to be honest with myself because I'm the only one that can. I do it because I'm so mad at the things that I've lost because of mental illness. I do it to try and take back some of my lost time, money, energy, relationships, because mental illness has taken so much from me that if I can take a little bit back by helping somebody else not make the mistakes that I've made, um, I'm happy with that and I'm okay with that. All right. Ahmed from Syracuse. I'm not sure which Syracuse, maybe New York, not sure. How long have you lived with mental illness? It's from 2006 is when I was diagnosed. I'd been living with it for a couple of years beforehand, but I didn't know. When I had a critical incident, my world fell apart, my mind broke, and yeah. So it's an interesting question. How long have I had my diagnosis? Since 2006. How long have I had mental illness? A little bit longer than that. Okay, another big question that comes through all the time is how do I fix ... And I haven't given a name to this because it comes through so often. And it's how do they help somebody? How do they make somebody choose to get better? And the fact of the matter is you can't make anybody do anything. And we've done a couple of podcasts. One is called Friends Can't Fix Friends. The bottom line is that you can't fix your friends, your family, your loved ones. You can't fix them. It's not within your ability or scope to be able to do that. Even if you're the most exceptional person in the world, you can't fix them. What can you do though? You can love them. You can support them. You can give suggestions. This might seem glib, but I've seen it happen with my wife. My wife does not sit down with me and go, "Hey, Mark, you need to do this." She'll make a suggestion. Have you thought about this? Have you noticed this? What do you think about this? I think I've seen this. What do you reckon? And it's also about not challenging me or checking in with me when I'm in crisis. Because when I'm in crisis, I can't think about anything except the crisis. You know, if you're in the surf and you've been caught in a wave, like most of us have in Australia, and you get caught in the rough, you can't be thinking about, where did I park my car when you're in the middle of that being thrown up and down by the waves. All you're thinking about is how do I stop being thrown around by the waves? Which way is the air? Um, um, how do I get out of this wave? That's not the time to be thinking about, oh, did I put enough parking money in the parking meter? You think about that stuff when you're level and safe, when you're not in crisis. So there's that as well as having those conversations with the person. Because I spoke to one dude and he's like, my friend, my loved one does this and they did this and they did this. And whenever I try and talk to them about it, it goes badly. And I said, well, when do you try and talk about it? And it was always either in the middle of the situation or right after the situation had happened. And I said, well, why don't you try having those conversations when they're in a conversational tone? When you can just go, hey, look, mate, are you in a good headspace? I just want to ask you about this. I want to get your thoughts in this, not to, be that person that goes, hey, you're in crisis. How are we going to fix this? When they're in crisis, it's all about how are we going to get you out of this crisis. So, how do I fix or help somebody to do something? You can't fix them, but you can try and love them, support them, and push them towards people that can help them. Best way to do it. How did you get PTSD? This is from Susan from Perth. Thank you, Susan, for listening. I know you listen quite a lot, actually. I appreciate you. How did I get PTSD? It was through 18 years of working with people with disabilities, being punched, kicked, hit. And then one day I went to work and there was a critical incident. A guy attacked me with a knife. I had to work for about half an hour. The attack lasted for about half an hour before I was able to calm the situation down, and then help came. That was what a psychiatrist said was the straw that broke the camel's back. So, 18 years of working in a violent industry, not caring about my mental illness, doing nothing to improve or save or foster or help my mental health, just believing that, I was kind of like Superman in that nothing could hurt me. Not that I was awesome and able to do anything, but just invulnerable. You could do whatever you want and it wouldn't hurt me. I was always the guy that was calm in a critical situation. I was always the guy that never was bothered by a violent assault. So I thought. When I had my critical incident, so many incidents that I went through when I was healthy kept coming back. So the doctor just said it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm amazed that you lasted as long as you did. That's how I got PTSD, by not caring about the fact that mental health is finite. I don't know. That's the easiest way I can suggest it. And being violently assaulted over and over and over and over again, and pretending it was just my life and normal, and not that it was something that I should have been, talking to people about. So I never did that. I'd come home and I'd share with my wife a little bit about what the day was like, but I would never go into, this guy hit me and I felt like this, and I'm starting to struggle with it a little bit. I'm starting to feel bad. I'm starting to blame the clients for their behavior. The fact that I was starting to burn out, I didn't realize until critical incident happened. So that, I guess, in a nutshell, is how I got PTSD. I hope this has been helpful. Like I said, I'm going to listen back to this. I'm going to see if I'm actually going to use this as the podcast this week or whether I'll do something else. But yeah. Have a great week. Like, share, and subscribe if you feel like it. I'd appreciate it. It all helps us. Have a great week. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Mark My Words. I'd like to thank my producer, Meredith Brosnan, and also Torian, Kevin, and Lorraine. And I can't forget the band Adelaide, who allows us to use their song as our theme.